y'all, welcome back to another Mask Monday with the Beauty Ninjas and a new series of the addiction series, part 2. And this mask I'm using today is Vitamin Melting Chew Mask. It's a brightening mask for dull skin, and yeah, as you can tell, I'm all one color right now. So I got this from Sue. Glad yet. By the time this video is out, I'll be at her house. So, oh, wow. Is this, I thought this was a sheet. Oh, it is a sheet mask, but look. It's got stuffs in it. Okay, well, of course, as usual, I forgot to read the fucking directions. Oh, it smells super good. It just looks so weird. I wonder how, I'm going to have to read the directions. I'll have to stop it in a minute and figure out how to undo this because I can't see really any seams. Hang on just a second. Okay, this is what the mask looks like. And it says to leave it on your skin between 10 and 20 minutes, and then you kind of like do this to keep it in. This eye here, why do I always look like something from Slipknot? Anyways, so in the last video we had talked about, I had talked about from like the early childhood up into my high school years, and you know, smoking, and I had already, but at this point, I had already done weekends of drinking and pot smoking and stuff. So we had lived in Germany for about, we were on our 5th year, going on our 6th year. I'd found this guy on the economy. I swore he was American. He spoke perfect English. He was mixed, and he was a DJ at one of my favorite clubs. It was called Chi-Chi's. I love Chi-Chi's. Oh, by the way, in the last video I said there was a disco called Flash in Berlin. It was called Flash Dance. Flash is a disco that comes in a little bit later. And that is in Laibach in Germany. Anyways, so we started dating and switching numbers. And so we got really close. And he asked me to marry him. And I was 16, and I said yes, but he went and asked my parents first, kind of like old school wise. But he was German. I didn't know he was German, but anyways, he's German, which means I would have to get married and then stay there. And excuse me, for me that was perfect. And you know, I was like, I'll just stay here, fuck the family, you know, because and my family was like, oh hell no. At this point, like, I used every secret that I had from my childhood. I used that as a power to get what I want. It was kind of like, you're going to fucking let me get married, or like, all shit's going to go hit the fan. So I was very manipulative. I always got what I wanted to. It didn't matter whose toes I stepped on or what, you know, devices I used. That's just how it went. So anyways, we stay, I went over to the States first. He followed shortly after. We got married in Effingham County in Georgia. And it was a short little courthouse wedding. That's all it was. And then we flew back to Germany. And, yeah, I was married. And we were like, we're going to have a family. And that's what I wanted. I wanted to have a family of my own. And we'll do this thing, right? And I knew I was young, but I was taken care of already. He was in the German army at the time, and so I didn't have to work. So we moved from Berlin all the way down south to a little place called Saarland, and I lived in a town called Laibach. And then he had to go to Somalia to do some service over there, and so I was stuck. And in south of Germany, no one spoke English. Like up north, most of the Germans know how to speak English through school and stuff. Down south, they didn't. And most of it was French because we were on the French border over there. So I was kind of lost. And, you know, there was German TV. And all I could do is read the lips. You know, so I turned the TV down and I would just read their lips. But, you know, I did eventually turn the TV up and trying to understand the language. I eventually met a German girl that could speak English, and she started coming to my house, and I was pregnant at this time. I did nothing. I did no smoking, no drinking, nothing. Like, I was one of those people who heard I was pregnant, and I stopped it all. Anyways, so I started learning German, and on the weekends, I'd get me a babysitter. because I thought that was okay, you know. People were telling me that's not okay, that you get a babysitter on the weekends and you go out and party. I thought that was cool. I thought that was what you did, you know, because that's kind of like what I've seen my whole life. Is like you go to work from Monday through Friday, you take care of your family and everything, and on the weekends you get a babysitter and you go out and treat yourself, you know. Well, anyways, so I did a bunch of weekends of that, and eventually my husband came home, and I was tattooed all over the place and spoken language. I was kind of like in a goth grunge phase back then, and he absolutely did not like it, and we started fighting all the time. Long story short, we separated, and when we separated, I had met this guy, one to the next, right? And well, I was experimenting through our separation somewhat. So I already tried my first lines of speed, and first few lines of coke, stuff like that. I had tried my first LSD, and had tried mushrooms. And I was very, very, I was experimental, but I would read everything on it, you know, like how does it work, how long, you gotta get all the information I could. I wasn't as careless as I was later on. And so anyways, we separated. I got together with this new guy, and of course he didn't like that, so I went home and he locked me out, and it took me months and months of court dates and whatnot before we became, because you know, he locked me out. I had no way to get home, and he had my daughter. So back then I was really upset. Nowadays I understand why he did that, okay? And actually things happened the way they were supposed to. So she ended up, in the long run, growing up with my parents in the unit. Well, actually my parents got divorced, and both of them remarried. She grew up with my dad and his wife, and she grew up a very, very good life. So, anyways, so I needed a place to live, right? Going through all this shit. And me and this guy had gotten together, and he looked like James Dean. He had like the leather pants. He was like with a motorcycle group. Didn't ride a motorcycle. It was one of those kind of guys where he looks perfect, but was a straight asshole. Well, at first he wasn't. He was really great. And we were just in love, and I got me a little apartment. And I started working at bars, and I spoke enough German to do so. And I got some welfare from the German government because, you know, my husband was still here. It was like, he went to the United States later. And at this point, my visa was expired, and I didn't know that, but no one knew about it, not even the German government. I just kept going along about my business. But it got to the point where, you know, we were all into the grunge and stuff, and then the techno scene came out, and I remember when I first heard it, I was in a hall with these huge boxes that were bigger than I was. I took an LSD paper. It was called the Miraculix. And I was sitting on one of these boxes, and all the music stopped. Like the, you know, typo negative and shit. All that shit stopped. This must have been 1995. And all this fog came out. Strobe lights. And like this electronic sounds. Like, what the hell is that? And my boyfriend was like, that's techno music. My life changed from one day to the next, because after that I couldn't even hear my own music anymore. It was all about techno. I was on for the rave, and this went about 5 years, okay? So in the meantime, you know, he was the kind of person that would go get stuff for other people, but he would take him a good chunk off and a few dollars off, and they were always upset. Then I started doing it, and everybody was happy with me, and so he got jealous. And anyways, we were very toxic for each other, and it wasn't too far along. I started getting really abused, and people were always helping me out, but I kept going back. And then, you know, people were just like, well, you know, it is what it is. You're just so stupid. And I felt really stupid, and I had to take high cover to get away from this relationship, because he would follow me freaking everywhere, embarrass me everywhere in public, like take off his clothes in the middle of public right where he's at. And you know, and it was just really, it was horrible. But anyways, so at this time, you know, I'm enjoying my new freedom without him. And I'm going to the clubs and everything, and I'm having a wonderful time. And then I meet, you know, my health was getting really bad because I think I weighed like, I didn't even weigh 90 pounds. People were like looking at me like, God, you need something to eat. But basically I was just partied out, you know. And so I met this guy. He was a very arrogant person. I met him at a club, and randomly, you know, it was like, these things happen all the time. The club ends, and somebody ends up going with someone else, you know, because they're not done partying yet. So it was his birthday, and I helped him out at his house with birthdays and groceries and all this stuff. Well, anyways, me and this guy became a couple too, from one to the next. All right. I had that thing. I always had the thing that I needed to be validated, or I just couldn't be alone. I had to be in a relationship. Doesn't matter for what reason. I just had to have a man, you know. And well, it was kind of different because I was like an all-around person, and he was very snooty. And I don't like it when people kind of like do behind the bushes kind of talking. If you got something to fucking say to me, you say it to me, right? And those people were doing behind the bush talking, and I'm not stupid. I'd listen to it, but I wouldn't act upon it. I would kind of like remember shit. Well, anyways, it got me very resentful. We did not have a good relationship either. He was one to kind of like, I don't know, just do disrespectful things, like flirt with other girls in front of me and shit. Anyways, and we've kind of had a good relationship. He wanted to move back to Berlin, which was fine for me. The only problem is in the meantime, I had met a guy that was my best friend, and well, he's passed away now, but he was such a best friend of mine that when my boyfriend went to Berlin or Stuttgart to go work or see his mom, me and him would hitchhike around all Germany and take some stuff to make some money, and you know, and I'd meet my boyfriend on the weekend. Well, as I was hanging around with my friend, I started getting used to doing cocaine and heroin, and so I told my boyfriend about it, and I did a withdrawal at a new apartment in Germany, which was a motherfucking hell. Like, oh my God, you're dying to sleep. You are so freaking tired. You're dying to sleep, but you can't because you're so sick. You're just in agony. So it's like not working. And I tried to do substitutes. Like I tried to drink a lot of alcohol, anything I could, like any kind of medication around, I would take it. Nothing fucking worked. Anyways, I knew that I had to go back to down south and meet my best friend, and within a few days. And so after that, I kind of in the back of my mind just could not wait to get out of there so I could go get something. He already knew it, kind of like, I think he was just done with me, and I was just done with him. And so when I moved back, I called him, and he told me, hey, we're done. You don't need to come back up to Berlin. And I was like, yeah, motherfucker. Even though I kind of was over with it with him, I was still crying because I just had to let it out. He had to be the one that was fault, you know. So anyways, yeah. At this time, I'm freaking hooked to the needle, okay? So, let me see how many minutes we got. Yeah, it's a little, so we're going to go, so now I'm in my, let's see, I think I'm 22 at this point. And, yeah, I'll talk about that further on, how that went, all the way up until I go to a treatment in France for my first time in the next one. But, yeah, let me take this off. I wonder how much res is on here. Let me see. Oh, God, it looks like, you got mayonnaise on your lip, or are you back in business? This stuff is all over the place. Now, the mask feels really good. I hope, you know, normally I can't really see how it works until it dries down, but I'll take the residue. I just got out of the tub, y'all. See, my hair is wet. I'll take the residue, and I'll happily put it on my, the back of my feet, and it feels so good. But anyways, that's it for this Mask Monday Part 2. I'll get a little bit more in depth to it into the next one. So if anybody needs, if you know anybody or anybody whose family or someone you know who needs help, I will put a link down in my description box along with the playlist. And my friend Sue, her video is also in this playlist. I don't know what mask anybody's using today, but I'm very curious. Last week it was fun to watch everybody. And that's it for this week. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for your kind words on my last video. And I'll see you guys in the next one.